Welcome to the third part of Spring Boot Kubernetes tutorial series. In this episode, we are going to learn how to implement GetBookmarks API with pagination support. So in this video, we are going to create a API entity for Bookmark, and we are going to create a Spring Data API repository and a bookmark service. And then we are going to implement the REST controller for GetBookmarks API endpoint. And finally, we are going to add the pagination support for it. So let's get started. So in the previous episode, we have generated this bookmarker API from Spring Initializer, and then we have imported into our IDE. So if you take a quick look at the pom.xml, we can see we are using Spring Boot 2.7.0 and Java 17, and we have a bunch of starters added here. So if we take a look into our source code, we have Spring Boot main entry point class and an empty application properties file. That's all we have. So let's start with the core domain model. Okay. So first let me create a JPA entity. I'm going to create under domain package and domain.bookmark. Okay. So this is a JPA entity. So I'm going to annotate with entity, and I'm going to give a custom table name which is bookmarks. Okay, and also I'm going to generate setters and getters using Lombok. Also, I'm going to generate a no args constructor and all args constructor. Okay, every entity will have a primary key. So this is the primary key, and we need to annotate with @id. Also, we are going to use a sequence generator for generating these primary key values. So let us define a sequence generator, and the generator name is bookmark id sequence generator. Okay, and the sequence name would be bookmark id and sequence. Okay. Cool. And finally, let us define this generated value, and the strategy is sequence, and generator is whatever the name that we gave for this generator. Okay. Cool. In addition to ID, bookmark has a title and URL. Also, we are going to capture when the bookmark is created. Okay, created at, and this column title and URL should not be nullable. So I'm going to add non-nullable to both URL and title. So we have our JPA entity ready. Now let us create Spring Data JPA repository, bookmark repository. It is not a class, it's just an interface, and we need to extend JPA repository which of type bookmark, and the primary key is of type long. Okay, and let us create bookmark service. Okay, let us mark it as a Spring service component, and usually the service layer is a transactional boundary, so I'm adding this at transactional. We are going to inject bookmark repository. So instead of creating a custom constructor, I'm going to use Lombok required args constructor, which is going to generate a constructor for all the finite fields. Okay, so let us implement one method to get bookmarks. Public list of bookmarks. Okay, get bookmarks. Return repository dot find all. Okay, for now we are not doing any pagination, we are simply fetching all the bookmarks and returning it. One thing I would like to do is add this at transactional and read only true, because in this method we are not doing any data manipulations, we are simply reading the data and returning it. So by setting this read only flag to true, Hibernate can do some performance optimizations. Okay, so we have our domain model ready. Let us create a REST API controller. So API dot bookmark controller. Okay, I'm going to mark it with REST controller annotation, and also the common prefix would be for URL /API /bookmarks. Okay, and I'm going to inject a bookmark service private final bookmark service. Okay, and now I'm going to define an entry point handler like public list of bookmark get bookmarks. Okay, so I'm simply going to return bookmark service dot get bookmarks, and I want to map it to get operation, get method. Okay, so here we have our API endpoint also ready. But before running the application, I want to enable SQL login. Show SQL to true, and also I am going to enable DDL auto to update. So right now we are using Hibernate's support for generating the tables automatically, but we are going to use the flyway migrations later. So for now, let us go with this approach. If we start the application now, and if we go and access localhost 8080/API/bookmarks, we see empty response because there is no data in our database. So what we can do is, let us create a data initializer class, data initializer, and implement command line runner. Okay, what this command line runner does is, once the application starts, it automatically calls this run method. So first we need to mark it as a Spring Bean, and also we are going to inject bookmark repository, private final bookmark repository. Okay, and we are going to save few bookmarks into our database. So here we are saving a bunch of bookmarks into our database. Now let us restart the application. Now if we invoke the API, we can see we are fetching all the 15 bookmarks. So right now there is no pagination support for it. So let us add pagination support for our API. Okay, so let us go to controller and accept page as a request parameter. So here we are going to use at request param annotation to bind query parameter, and the name of the parameter is page, and I'm giving a default value of 1. When you give a default value, it will automatically become an optional parameter. So we are going to map it to a page argument. Okay, so once we get this page, we are going to pass it to our service. So here we are going to add this page parameter to our service method. Once we have this page, so from the user point of view, page number starts with 1, but Spring Data API repository point of view, page number starts with 0. So let us do a quick check of page. If page is less than 1, I'm going to take it as 0. Otherwise, I'm going to take it as page minus 1. Okay, and Spring Data API provides excellent support for pagination and sorting. For that, what we need to do, pageable, create a pageable object and using page request of, we can give page number, page size and sort options as well. So what we can do of page number is page number, and let's assume we are giving page size as 10, and the direction we want to sort based on the created at property in the descending order. So this created at is nothing but the property name of this one. So what we are trying to do is we want to fetch the bookmarks in the reverse chronological order of creation. Okay, once we have this pageable, if we pass it to find all, we are going to initially we were getting list of bookmarks, but now we are going to get a page of bookmarks, right? So simply let us call get contents just to fetch only the data part of it. Okay, now if I restart and if I go back to our API and refresh, we can see right now there are 10 bookmarks returned, and also they are in the descending order of the created it. Okay, so we got first page, and if you want to get the second page, we can give page 2. So this way. Okay, but here simply giving the bookmarks data is not enough for the clients, because they should know how many pages are there or how many total elements are there, so that they can form some kind of a pagination component to navigate across the pages, right? So let us create a DTO called bookmarks DTO. Okay, so what we want to include in that private list of bookmarks, let's call it data, and private int total elements and total pages and current page, and do we have is it first page, is it last page, do we have next page, do we have previous page? Okay, so these are the data we want to capture and give it as part of the response. Okay, and I'm going to add setter and getter. Okay, also instead of creating populating this object anywhere else, what we can do, we can create a constructor which takes a page of bookmarks page, and then initialize all these values. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call set data bookmarks page dot get content, and this dot set total elements, it's going to be bookmarks page dot get number of elements, and this dot set total pages, it's going to be bookmarks dot get total pages. This dot set current page, which is going to be bookmarks dot get number. Okay, and this dot set first, it is going to be is first. This dot set last, it is going to be bookmarks dot is last. This dot set has next, bookmarks dot has next. This dot set has previous, it's going to be bookmarks has previous. So we are taking bookmarks page as a constructor argument and populating all these fields, extracting from the bookmarks page. Okay, now instead of returning from book service, instead of returning plain list of bookmarks, now let us return bookmarks TTO, and here we can return bookmarks TTO of page, not the content. Okay, again we need to make this change here in bookmarks controller as well. Okay, cool. Let me restart. Okay, now if I access page 2, in addition to the data, I get what are the total elements, total pages 2, current page is 1. Here there are few things that are wrong. Total elements is not 5, it is simply saying how many elements are there, but what I want is the total number of elements available. And current page is not 1, it should be 2, because from the user point of view it should be page 2. So let us fix those issues. So here when we say current page, it is 0 based index, so let us increase this. And also get number of elements, I think it is giving the current page number of elements. Instead we should call get total elements. Okay, cool. Let us restart. Okay, so here total elements, I think it is long, it's not int. There could be millions of records also, so long is the right type. Now when we restart and if we refresh, so here we get the second page of data, and also we can see total elements are 15 and the total number of pages is 2 and the current page is also 2. It doesn't have next page because this is the last page and has previous. Yes, there is first page. Is it first page? False. Is it last page? True. Right. What if we access the page 1? We get the data. Total elements 15, total pages 2, current page is 1, and yeah. So this is the data we are getting. There are few things, just first last is not making sense to me, so I'm going to customize the names for those. Here I'm going to use this JSON property to give what I want is first. Okay, I want to use, instead of simply first and last, I want to name the fields as is first and is last. Okay, let us restart. Cool. If you see is first, is last, okay, it has next. Okay, cool. I think we have API ready, get API with pagination support ready. Cool. However, I have a couple of things that are not up to the mark. One is we are using this Hibernate's automatic table creation, which is okay for a simple demo, but not really good for the production grade applications. And another thing is here we are using repository find all, and we are loading all the bookmarks, right? There are two things. One, it is not a good idea to return the entities directly to the front end as a response, because if for any reason, if there is any change in the database entity, it's going to affect the response. We shouldn't be returning direct entities to the client. And second thing is, usually we load entities if we want to make any modifications and then persist back into the database. But here we are simply reading the data, and we are not intending to modify any data. So in that case, it is better to read data into a DTO than loading simply as entity. So what we can do, we can use a concept called DTO projection for doing that. So we are going to perform these two improvements in the next video using the flyway migrations and using the DTO projections. Okay, so yeah, I think this is the content for this video. I hope you liked it, and stay tuned for the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.